If you drive a modern Tesla, your driving range has just fallen overnight. Well, not quite exactly, folks, although if anybody's looking to buy a Tesla vehicle over the next year, the average EPA estimate has significantly fallen anywhere from 5 to 10% for the 2024 models. Yeah, folks, believe it or not, the company quietly reduced the overall driving range estimates for essentially all of its lineup for the model year 2024, after many concerns about exaggerated range estimates came under fire for the company. This is certainly a pretty big deal because range anxiety is one of the biggest reasons people don't buy electric vehicles. And although in the real world it's been shown that range for EVs is plenty on a day-to-day basis for what people use them mostly for, it is still nonetheless a concern, especially for people who like the convenience and peace of mind of being able to go anywhere and refill in less than 5 minutes. So why exactly has the marketed range for basically all Tesla vehicles been reduced? And why do battery electric vehicles perform so poorly in the winter? Well, folks, that question is exactly what we're going to try to address in this video. And well, what better way to start, folks, than by first addressing the headline news regarding Tesla, where the EPA's estimate for every single Tesla model has been cut by almost 10%. Now, on the surface, for anybody who is on the edge of buying an EV, this certainly seems like a pretty easy deal breaker. But as it turns out, the real-world driving range has not changed for any single Tesla vehicle on the road. Instead, the marketed and advertised range has. Essentially what has happened, folks, is that back in July of 2022, the EPA issued a notice to essentially all EV manufacturers in the US that the EPA range that is advertised must be adjusted to encounter all the driving modes that a vehicle offers to its user. Essentially, both the best case and the worst case must be averaged out to provide a more accurate representation of how the vehicle will perform in the real life outside of a laboratory environment. And it seems like that regulation was enforced for the beginning of 2024, which happens to fall right in line with when Tesla has made these adjustments. This means that in reality, this is essentially just a bookkeeping adjustment instead of an actual technical adjustment from Tesla's own engineering department. Unless the company issued any sort of software update that physically altered the way the vehicles perform, there should be no real concern about driving range reduction when it comes to Tesla's all-popular cars. However, since Tesla is the biggest EV OEM on planet Earth, this news did stir a fresh set of concerns about how electric vehicles actually perform in the winter and in cold weather as compared to internal combustion ones. And as it turns out, battery vehicles have a pretty big disadvantage when it comes to cold weather. Firstly, because lithium-ion batteries are electrochemical devices that become harder to discharge energy with during colder temperatures. Essentially, the reactions from the cathode to the anode and through the electrode become slower as the electrons face an increased internal resistance. This means the amount of current you can draw from a battery in cold weather is significantly reduced, which affects the power you can pull, which immediately affects the full driving range that you can get. Essentially, the nominal voltage you can get from the state of charge of a battery is reduced during colder temperatures, which is also why internal combustion engine car batteries tend to perform a lot worse as well in cold weather. Lithium-ion batteries can actually perform at negative 40 degrees Celsius, and they don't necessarily degrade more during cold temps. The only issue is they lose their efficiency during cold temps, which in the case of electric vehicles has a direct effect on how they perform. Whereas, on the other hand, internal combustion engine vehicles actually see a performance boost because of the denser air as well as the easier dissipation of thermal energy during its process. And perhaps secondary to driving range, the actual state of charge of your battery also falls significantly when it's simply sitting stationary and doing absolutely nothing. This is called self-discharge, and it is a very common characteristic of batteries over the past 100 years. And although technology has significantly improved this feature, it certainly still exists and affects large-scale uses like electric vehicles. Preconditioning technologies and thermal management solutions certainly help with fixing cold weather range, but in reality, there's certainly a lot of work needed to be done to catch up to the viability and the practicality that conventional vehicles offer in the cold today. In my opinion, electric vehicles have a lot to offer, and this market is going to continue to expand for as long as the eye can see, but it's important to consider the advantages as well as the disadvantages from a little bit more of a technical perspective. As usual, folks, let me know your thoughts on this situation down in the comment section below. What do you think about Tesla cutting the advertised range of their vehicles? And thank you very much for watching. Take care.